the partner's motivation? Is it the process itself in which the partnership is developed and managed? Or is it external drivers that we are not aware of? So let us take example of each of these three factors. Talking about the partnership motivation. Remember the title was starting with government, NGO, and donor. So talking of the partnership motivation, without having a governmental will, a political will, we will not ending up in having a social acceptance. Therefore, the outcomes will be significantly affected. Talking about the stakeholders in our partnership, some of the stakeholders would see the partnership as an opportunity in which they might benefit and also give advantage to the other partner, whereas some of them seeing that as a true contribution and true involvement in the process from A to Z. So I'm still talking about the context of the water sector now. So for donors, what does it mean to get involved in water partnerships? Is it a compliance, or is it the impact of this partnership on water resources and water resources management? Or is it affected by sort of recession on financial contribution to development of water sector? So these 3-4 things has to be laid down carefully when we talk about developing partnership, because they will have impact on water resources and outcomes of partnerships. So what about the process itself? Are we really willing into getting involved in the partnership, in designing our water joint projects? Or are we talking about supporting infrastructure, or just getting advantage of being seen as a physical appearance in the project? Are we talking about the involvement which leads to tangible outcomes and deliverables? Or at the governmental side, are we adopting the outcomes of the partnership? Talking about the external factors or external drivers, it also had various components of which politics, environment, and socio-economic would play a major role. Talking about the politics, take the example which everybody hears of, the human displacement, the movement of Syrians into Jordan, Lebanon, the movement of some Libyans to Tunisia. This is a political situation would significantly affect any water partnerships. What about the environmental conditions like drought and their impact, climate change and their impact on water resources? The socio-economic factors would be the wealth of the people to be in position to adapt and adopt the water management systems. So talking about sustainable partnerships in water resources should actually be inclusive and should come to a consensus on building the capacity to maintain the partnership. It should also be, there should be also a legitimacy with government and civil society organizations. There should be also a strong governance structure to maintain the partnership, and it should have some universality so to scale the model up, and then developing the expertise with some local knowledge. I will be in the coming slides, I will be giving an example from the Middle East and North Africa network of water center of excellence, how it started as an entity funded by a donor based on partnership with water research and development institutions in the region. But the last, which is not the least point, which is the local knowledge, it is a backbone for any success in partnerships. I'm just thinking loud here, having the water forum or the Korean initiative to come into the region. I do value that, knowing the knowledge of the region, the culture, the water management practices, the socio-economic aspects of the people in the region would be a limiting factor for any further success. So what is the MENA NWC? It came with an initiative from the American government to support water management systems in the Middle East and North Africa. After them being involved in surveying the region, they understood and appreciated the existence of water research and development institution in the Middle East and North Africa, yet they found that knowledge is not shared with these institutions. They tend to work good but solely. They did not have much spirits into joint projects. So the idea was to create this network to support joint research projects and to expand knowledge and build capacities within the region. And again, talking about partnerships, it's goal number 17 of the SDGs. So the MENA NWC had 3 different themes. One was building and strengthening the collaborative research programs, building a national, regional manpower, qualified manpower, well-trained manpower to move the resilient water sector forward, and then to share that knowledge and to adopt innovative technologies to involve the private sector into the process so to achieve the best. And I will be giving few examples of the joint research which took place, which actually does have potential into the information system that has been presented in the previous session about the smart information system. One of these projects was implemented in Tunisia, Jordan, and Oman. It's talking about how to mitigate the environmental risks from reusing the treated wastewater within the agricultural production system to sustain and secure food for a generation to come. Of that project, the tangible outcomes of the project is to create an understanding and management practices, safe and sustainable management practices to end up producing more crops, which means more revenue to the farmers using treated wastewater rather than relying on groundwater. And we all aware how the groundwater resources are scarce and under severe pressure. And also developing a decision support system which can be offered as a product to whoever is using treated wastewater. And again, that is also interlinked to your smart management systems. Another project from Oman and Jordan was talking about managed aquifer recharge. And when I talk about the managed aquifer recharge, remember Oman, it sits on the Gulf, and their soil is, what was that? Their soil is sandy soil, so the infiltration is high. There is also seawater intrusion. There is extensive abstraction of groundwater resources, i.e. the seawater intrusion would adversely affect the groundwater resources. And at the same time, they are adopting the innovative technology, the tertiary treatment to the treated wastewater, but the contribution of the water that has been reused to the total treated water is still very trivial. So the idea was to use the treated wastewater, which is still not socially accepted, yet chemically, biologically it's safe and secure, to use that water and inject it in the aquifer, so to create a buffer zone to stop the seawater intrusion and to get that water sort of incorporated with other groundwater resources so to be used gradually. Outcomes of this project were few, but one of them is a toolbox which can be used for training and designing of managed aquifer recharge management systems. And also there were 3 guidelines on how to build and module for managed aquifer recharge, beside the extensive review of knowledge that has been published worldwide. A third project was implemented in Morocco and Jordan, talking about the development of biofouling resistant using nanoparticles or green nanoparticles. And it's very well known in the membrane industry that the membranes would fall. So the idea was to use raw material from within the country and to overcome that symptom of falling the membrane. But it requires a considerable amount of attention from the industrial sector. So the idea was using the raw material from within the country, building the capacity, building even testing units for the membrane technology from within these 2 countries, so that they can advance the manufacturing of the membranes. So after 5 years of R&D from within this organization between private sector, NGOs, governments, and donors, we can recommend that we should adopt a problem-centric approach rather than a firm approach. And by saying that, unfortunately now, there is a tendency on focusing on a certain institution and relying on that institution to do more for the partnerships or to invest in the partnership, whereas I should say that each institution can have some added value which can be sort of strengthened by building a centric problem partnership rather than organization partnership. And also how to model your stakeholders. There should be a system to build on, a frame that you can set for the partnership, so to add and build on the learning experience and improving the partnership. And also there should be a system to govern and review the partnership and what has been achieved, so to improve it in future, and also to manage any potential conflict, because this is common sense. When we work together, we come to agreement at some stage, yet we might disagree on other stage. So there should be a system in place to review these partnerships, to strengthen those with potential and disregard other partnership which might not be in the same line as a partner would think of. There is always advice that we've learned over the past 20 years, quick solution does not exist, especially with partnership. And thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ghazi Abu-Lomman. To say frankly, we have had many times to invite him as a speaker of our session, because we know that to secure water problems, it is most important that needs the social acceptance, meaning that the smart resilience, smart governance, smart citizens, and smart partnership is already been important rather than smart technology and smart information, etc. So I'm so proud of your very distinguished presentation. Thank you very much. Would you please give him also a big applause? Thank you. And then next session will begin from 4 p.m. So now we will have a short coffee break for 20 minutes. Okay, thank you very much.